excellent evening to you. Thanks for joining us tonight on the Mitv Primetime News. My name is Benjamin Peters. And straight to the headlines tonight. President Buhari decries Paris Club handling by governors. Court OK's Melaye's recall. Customs intercept 1,100 imported rifles. On the foreign scene, Kenyan senator detained over hate speech. And from the world of sports, Crystal Palace fire Deborah. And now to the details. President Muhammadu Buhari on Monday met with members of the National Council of Traditional Rulers and decried the way the Paris Club refund was spent by some state governors. The federal government had on May 4 released details of the second tranche of Paris Club refund to states, totaling 243.795 billion naira. The members of the Traditional Council said they were at the presidential villa on a courtesy visit. The president used the occasion to thank all Nigerians for their prayers for him and the country at large. The president also noted that their kind gesture has energized him to do more. Correspondent Rashida Yusuf reports that the president, however, urged them to continue with the message of peace and unity in their various domains, saying God has a purpose for the country.
Living with the people, we know the actual problem more than us sitting here. I have to digress here to just remind you of what made a great impression on me when I came to this office. If you go to any respectable financial institution in the world, not only in ECOWAS or in Africa or Europe, and you ask about Nigeria, between 1999 and 2014, they know it's on record Nigeria produces average of 2.1 million barrels a day. And the average cost of every Nigerian barrel of crude is $100.
From the South geopolitical zone, we are very happy to welcome you back in Ati. It is not every day that we have an opportunity to meet and express our commitment to your programs and to see that God is answering our prayers for your good health and for wisdom to guide this nation.
From Southwest, on behalf of all the other monarchs from Southwest Nigeria, we want to come here to also thank God for your life and also make sure that we support you from our different communities, because we are much closer to the people, and we're bringing good will from our people for them to continue to support you.
The Nigerian Air Force NAF said on Monday it has struck the Boko Haram insurgents buildings in Borno. The Director of Public Relations and Information NAF headquarters, Air Commodore Olatokunbo Adesoye, disclosed this in a statement in Abuja. Olatokunbo said the operation was a continuation of the recently commenced Operation Ruwan Wuta. NAF had conducted air interdiction on structures with two hoisted insurgents organization flags in Zanari, a known location with significant insurgents presence at the northern fringes of Borno, bordering Lake Chad. The F-7N1 and the Alpha Jet aircraft were detailed to attack the target. The director explained that the object of Operation Ruwan Wuta was to further degrade the capabilities of the insurgents and prevent them from regrouping to cause havoc. In a related development, the Borno Command of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps on Monday said 6 Boko Haram insurgents had surrendered to the Corps. The spokesperson for the command, Mr. Bulus James, made the disclosure in a statement in Maiduguri. James further disclosed that the repented insurgents surrendered to the Corps under the Operation Safe Corridor initiated by the federal government. He said that a large number of demoralized insurgents had also indicated their willingness to renounce their crime and join the society. He, however, reiterated the command's commitment to support the military to ensure successful implementation of the counter-insurgency campaign. According to him, the command also conducts sensitization activities with a view to exposing the personnel to the best practices in peace building and conflict resolution. And the wife of the president and founder, Future Assured Program, Mrs. Aisha Mohammed Buhari, has called on Nigerians to show support to the victims of the recent flooding in parts of Benue State, with a view to complement government's effort of providing succor to them. She was speaking on Monday during the distribution of relief materials to the victims in Makurdi. Mrs. Buhari was represented by the wife of the governor of Nasarawa State, Ajia Mairo Tanko Al-Maru Makure. Other members of the delegation are the wife of the governor of Kebbi State, Dr. Zainab Bagudo, and Senior Special Assistant to the President, Dr. Ajo Sani. The team visited the Makurdi ultra-modern market where over 5,000 displaced persons are putting up as a result of loss of their homes. Most of the displaced in the camp are women and children. Receiving the items on behalf of the Benue State government, Deputy Governor of the state, Engineer Benson Abaono, described the humanitarian gesture of Mrs. Buhari as bringing hope to the hopeless and assured her of fair distribution and effective utilization of the items.
Excellency has passion and is very passionate about the problems of women in Nigeria, and she felt so touched because she was away out of the country, but she saw what happened and she has decided to send her widow's mite to these women to be able to alleviate their suffering before they get back to their various homes. She had rice, Maggi, Gari. They're all there to see. She already handed over to the Deputy Governor of the state. Thank you, Excellency.
Many properties were destroyed, roads were cut into two, places of abode were destroyed, and in 21 out of the 23 local governments in the state, what I'm talking about happened. 110,000 families have been positively identified to be the victims of this flood disaster. The state government rose to its responsibility by very quickly coming to the aid of the victims.
And from Ekiti, the governor of Ekiti State, Ayo Faoshe, has condemned the military invasion on the IPOB leader's resident, Nnamdi Kanu. Faoshe stated these while speaking with journalists in Ado-Ekiti, the state capital. He posited that the invasion of Kanu's father's place by the military is unfair during a civilian government.
If the Igbo people had done anything that they are paying for, they should be forgiven now. This country needs everybody, and we need to come to talk on our coexistence going forward. I'm sure, and I want to believe this is beyond Kanu. This taking on of Kanu is beyond Kanu. It's unfortunate that the military will go and invade Kanu's residence, his father's palace, and recklessly brutalize innocent citizens. You see, we are not in a banana republic. What strength has Kanu? What gun has Kanu? We should be a certain level of respect for human rights.
A federal high court in Abuja has dismissed the application by Senator Dino Melaye challenging moves by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to effect his recall. Justice Nnamdi Dimba on Monday held that all the complaints made by Melaye lacked merit and deserved to be dismissed. On the complaint of lack of fair hearing by the constituents before forwarding the recall petition to INEC, the judge said it lacks merit and dismissed it. Justice Dimba ruled that the recall process is a political question which is beyond the court to deal with. They said the constituents have no duty to serve the legislator a copy of the recall petition. They said Melai has the opportunity to campaign to the electorate before the referendum to sell his achievements to them, according to the 90 days timetable and schedule of activities set by INEC as set out in Section 69 of the Constitution.
I'm happy the court has clearly shown that it is not the responsibility of my clients and that of INEC to really serve the plaintiff with papers of this thing. If they want anything, then let them go ahead. If he's lucky enough to fault the verification at that level, or is lucky enough to ensure that the referendum does not succeed, then that is the end of the whole thing. But if he's unlucky, he goes.
The federal government's negotiation team have met the non-teaching staff in the universities as the staff commence a nationwide strike. The non-teaching staff under the umbrella of Joint Action Committee made up of the National Association of Academic Technologists, NAT, Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Associated Institutions, NASU, and the Senior Staff Association of Nigeria Universities, SANU, had directed its members to proceed on a nationwide strike from today as a result of unresolved issues with government. The unions had accused the federal government of neglecting the agreements it freely entered into with the union since 2009 and the refusal of government to obey the judgment of the National Industrial Court. The threat notice by the three university affiliate unions lamented that every effort made by the unions for government to see reasons for implementing the 2009 agreement had not yielded any result. In an effort to broaden its scope, the West African Examinations Council International Office in Lagos says it was set to reintroduce electronic marking for its tests. The head of the office, Mr. Adelowo Maliki, disclosed this in an interview with newsmen on Monday in Lagos. According to him, the marking before now was done with some foreign partners based in the United Kingdom. He added that the marking mode was actually the best, but costly. Maliki, however, noted that gradually the office intends to spread the marking mode across all subjects and papers. The country's head, National Office of WAEC, Mr. Olu Adenipekun, at a news conference in Lagos, announced that the council will commence the conduct of the examination for private candidates twice a year, with effect from 2018. You're still watching the MITV Primetime News. When we return tonight, we'll bring you some business stories after the break. Talking business tonight, the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, on Monday disclosed that the Federal Executive Council has agreed to the concessioning of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, and the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. He spoke in Abuja during the 5th edition of the Presidential Quality Business Forum at the Old Banquet Hall of the State House. The federal government's main commitment on ease of doing businesses in Nigeria, he said, was to ensure a general overhaul of the business environment, which he said will involve the concession of all airports in the country. The Vice President noted that partnering with private sector operators was a sensible decision to take at the moment. The forum, he said, is important for the government to receive both criticisms and suggestions from the private sector. On capacity building, Osinbajo said it had become imperative to improve the capacity of government agencies which regulate business activities. Osinbajo further said that government's approach to ease of doing business in Nigeria was quite dynamic. He further also pledged government's commitment to improving infrastructure related to power distribution, He also said part of the business overhaul initiative of the government is to ensure the provision of power in some notable business environments, such as the Area market in Abia State, the printing industry in Shomolu, Lagos, and a Kano market without the necessary connection to the national grid. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshiba, just urged the 3 tiers of government to ensure adherence to fiscal discipline, enhance revenue generation, rational allocation. He also called on them to be conscious of the efficient use of resources for Nigeria to achieve sustainable growth. The Vice President gave the advice at the opening of a 3-day workshop organized by the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission. The theme of the workshop is alternative sources of revenue generation for sustainable development in states and local government councils in Nigeria. Oshibajo, represented by the Minister of Finance, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, described the workshop event as timely, adding that it came at a time the present administration was working hard to reposition Nigeria's economy after a period of declining revenue. Earlier, the acting chairman of the Alhaji Shatima Abba Ghana said the various economic programs of the present government had helped in getting the country out of recession. According to him, new additional sources of revenue are being studied, adding that the Commission is designing ways of generating and collecting these revenues for the benefit of the states and the local governments. And the Tinkan Island Command of the Nigeria Customs Service, NCS, has intercepted 1,100 rifles which were imported into the country from Turkey on the false declaration. The Comptroller General of NCS, retired Colonel Hamid Ali, told journalists in Lagos on Monday that the seizure was the 3rd interception of ammunition at Lagos ports within 9 months. He said that the customs would meet with the World Customs Organization and Foreign Affairs Ministry to stop illegal importation of ammunition. He further said that the service will not only pursue the agents, but will also go after the shippers and terminal operators who took custody of the consignment. The Comptroller General commended operatives of the Customs Intelligence Unit for discovering the rifles in spite of the false declaration. Ali said that the present NCS management will continue to reposition and fine-tune operational strategies of the service in line with the federal government policies towards a new and better way of serving Nigerians. And residents of 28 communities in Olorunda, local government area of Oshobo in Osun State capital, have issued a 7-day ultimatum to restore electricity in the area. The people of the area have been without light for a week, even as they claimed they have not been enjoying power for up to 7 hours a day, close to 2 years before the recent complete power outage. Correspondent Abbas Okondeji reports that the affected residents were led in a protest to the office of the Ibadan Electricity Distribution Company, which they are accused of not responding to their plight. They claim that the total power outage has paralyzed business activities in the affected communities. Reacting, the spokesperson of the organization, Oweye Kikelomo, confirmed the power outage and pleaded with the protesting residents to remain calm and not resort to violence as threatened.
In Osogbo Township. So IBEDC is giving us a lot of problems. We are using this opportunity to appeal to IBEDC to give us electricity supply back to Osogbo Township, Olonda local government, about 28 communities.
These people, they are outrageous, they are furious. They don't want to listen to anything again than to have their light on.
Violence will not actually bring out anything positive. So it's better that they exercise patience, because by the time they start protesting, some hoodlums can just hijack the protest and just turn out to be something else. So it's better that they exercise patience, and let us continue to engage them, and we'll see the possibility of making headway.
You're still watching the Mitv Primetime News. We now bring you some foreign stories. Kenyan police detained a lawmaker from the ruling party and a former opposition senator on Monday over allegations of hate speech, a spokesman for the Interior Ministry said. Reported instances of hate speech have raised sharply since September 1, when the Supreme Court annulled the results of August 8 presidential election. The surprise ruling, the first of its kind in Africa, avoided the win of incumbent President Uhuru Kenyatta, citing irregularities in the tallying process. Njoka did not give details on why the two politicians had been arrested, and police did not respond to queries. Last week, Courier gave a public speech calling for a manhunt for supporters of veteran opposition leader Raila Odinga, who had greeted the court ruling with jubilation. And still from the foreign scene, Hurricane Irma is blasting up the west coast of Florida after buffeting the city of Miami with dangerous flooding along long stretches of coast. It has been downgraded from Category 3 to 1, but still has maximum sustained winds of 75 miles per hour. More than 3.4 million homes in the state are without power, with parts of the city of Miami underwater. At least 4 deaths have been linked to the storm, and several areas have brought in curfews. Florida's Director of Emergency Management, Brian Cohn, said he could not yet confirm or deny reports of multiple deaths and extensive damage. He said search and rescue efforts are due to begin on Monday. Irma cut a devastating track across 10 Caribbean countries and territories, killing at least 28 people there. President Donald Trump has approved a major disaster declaration and emergency federal aid for Florida, describing the hurricane as a big monster. The security operation targeting Rohingya Muslims in Myanmar seems a textbook example of ethnic cleansing. Zaid Rad al-Hussein urged Myanmar to end the cruel military operation in Rakhine State. More than 300,000 Rohingya Muslims have fled to Bangladesh since violence erupted there late last month. The military says it is responding to attacks by Rohingya militants and denies it is targeting civilians. The violence began on the 25th of August when the Rohingya militants attacked police posts in northern Rakhine, killing 12 security personnel. Rohingyas who have fled Myanmar since then say the military responded with a brutal campaign, burning villages and attacking civilians in a bid to drive them out. The Rohingya, a stateless Muslim minority in Buddhist majority Rakhine, have long experienced persecution in Myanmar, which says there are illegal immigrants. And polling stations opened across Norway on Monday as the all-rich nation votes for its next 4 years of government. The election, which has been labeled the biggest election thriller in many decades by national media, will see Prime Minister Erna Solberg's Conservatives go head-to-head with the opposition Labour Party. Opinion polls indicate a close race, with an aggregate suggesting just one seat may separate the parties once Norway's 169-member parliament is returned. Solberg's Conservative Party has led a coalition government alongside the Libertarian Progress Party since ballots were last cast in 2013. The coalition is running on a manifesto of continuity, which includes further tax cuts in a bid to boost economic growth for Norway's 5.3 million people. However, the Labour Party, under the leadership of millionaire Jonas Gahr Store, has pledged to raise taxes on Norway's highest earners in order to strengthen social security provisions and reduce inequality. When we return tonight, we'll be talking sports after the break. On sports tonight, Frank de Boer has been sacked as Crystal Palace manager after 5 games and 77 days in charge. Former England boss Roy Hodgson will replace him. According to reports, the Eagles are 19th in the Premier League after losing 1-0 at Burnley on Sunday and failed to score in the 4 league matches under De Boer. The former Ajax boss, 47, only took over this summer, succeeding Sam Allardyce, who left after helping Palace avoid relegation last season. His only win as Palace manager came in the EFL Cup against Ipswich Town. Should Hodgson take the job on a permanent basis, it will be the club's 7th permanent manager in 6 years. And Chelsea have vowed to take the strongest possible action against fans found singing an anti-Semitic chant. The club condemned the song about Alvaro Morata by their fans during the Saturday's 2-1 win over Leicester City. Chelsea head of communications Steve Atkins said offenders will be banned if there is sufficient evidence. He added that Chelsea Football Club finds all form of discrimination aberrant, while the language used in that song is totally unacceptable. The chant about Morata, who scored against Leicester, was used to abuse London rivals Tottenham, who have a large Jewish fan base. Speaking before Chelsea's Champions League game against Qarabag, manager Antonio Conte supported a statement from the club. And the group stage of the UEFA Champions League begins on Tuesday with 8 matches across various stadia in Europe. Benfica will play host to CSKA Moscow, while Manchester United will entertain Basel at the Old Trafford. Bayern Munich will trade tackles with Anderlecht, while Celtic welcome Paris Saint-Germain at the Stamford Bridge. Chelsea will lock horns with Qarabag, while Roma will slug it out against Atletico Madrid. Last season's beaten finalist Juventus will be the guest of Barcelona at Camp Nou, while Olympiacos will keep a date with Sporting. And Rafael Nadal put his remarkable resurgence down to his love for the game after claiming a 16th Grand Slam title at the US Open. The 31-year-old Spaniard beat South Africa's Kevin Anderson 6-3, 6-4, 6-4 to win his 3rd title in New York, following his French Open success. Nadal's victory took him 3 away from Roger Federer's all-time record of 19 Grand Slam titles, and the pair shared all 4 major victories between them in 2017. That came after both men ended their 2016 seasons early through injury, casting doubts on their ability to even challenge for the biggest titles again. The US Open was the last Grand Slam tournament in which Nadal was accompanied by his uncle Tony, the man who first put a racket in his hand when he was 3 years old. Former world number one Carlos Moya, a close friend of Nadal, will take on coaching duties along longtime team member Francis Roig from next year. And that's it tonight on the MITV Primetime News. Thanks for watching. But a quick recap of our top stories. We told you that President Muhammadu Buhari on Monday met with members of the National Council of Traditional Rulers and decried the way the Paris Club reformed was spent by some state governors. We did also inform you that a federal high court in Abuja has dismissed the application by Senator Dino Melaye challenging moves by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to effect a recall. We also told you that the Tinkan Island Command of the Nigerian Customs Service has intercepted 1,100 rifles which were imported into the country from Turkey on the false declaration. From the foreign scene, we brought you a report that Kenyan police detained a lawmaker from the ruling party and a former opposition senator on Monday over allegations of hate speech, a spokesman for the Interior Ministry said. And from the world of sports, we told you that Frank De Boer has been sacked as Crystal Palace manager after 5 games and 77 days in charge. And that's the story tonight from the entire news crew here. Thanks for watching. My name is Benjamin Peters. Good night.